What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 8 Monday Night Football.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay guys, in this video, I'm going to give you my top DFS picks for this Monday Night Football showdown between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Giants. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Oh, and good news guys, make sure to stay tuned to the very end of this video because we removed the box that was popping up and blocking the lineup. So now you can see a full lineup using these picks that we made in this video if you stay to the very end. Okay guys, let's take a look at this Monday Night Football showdown between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Giants. So at the quarterback position, I like Patrick Mahomes from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the New York Giants, who have the 10th worst defense overall, and they give up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes has averaged 26 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.6 rush attempts per game. He's projected at 28 fantasy points here tonight, and he's 12,000 DraftKings salary. Vegas thinks there's going to be 52 points scored in this game, with the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 10. So you gotta think that Patrick Mahomes is going to have a huge bounce back game after only scoring 10 fantasy points last week. Awful game for Patrick Mahomes last week. It's a little bit like Tom Brady, where he likes to bounce back after a poor performance. Tom Brady's the king of bounce back games, but I expect a huge bounce back game here for Patrick Mahomes here versus the New York Giants. But you don't want to rule out Daniel Jones from the New York Giants playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, and they give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks because Daniel Jones, he's averaged 18.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.9 rush attempts per game. He's projected at 19.3 fantasy points here tonight, and he's 10,200 DraftKings salary. So with Vegas thinking that the Giants are going to be trailing by 10 in this game, Daniel Jones has got a fantastic matchup, should be a passing game script, and it gives you a pretty decent rushing floor. So I like both of these quarterbacks here tonight. So I like Daniel Jones here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. From the Kansas City Chiefs, you got Darrell Williams, who's averaging 9.3 fantasy points per game on the season. Oh, and the New York Giants, they give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. So pretty decent matchup here. And Darrell Williams, he gets an average of 7.4 rush attempts and 2.6 pass targets per game. So not a ton of volume. He did only get 5 rush attempts last game and 4 pass targets, but he was kind of game scripted out of that one as the Kansas City Chiefs fell behind last week. But the week before that, he got 21 rush attempts and 4 pass targets. So you could be looking at a game where he gets 15 touches if the Kansas City Chiefs can build a lead here, which I think they're going to. So I think Darrell Williams is in a pretty decent spot here tonight. He's projected at 14.1 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Darrell Williams here versus the New York Giants.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, and then the running backs from the New York Giants. You got the starting running back, Devonta Booker, and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're middle of the pack defending opposing running backs, and Devonta Booker has averaged 8.8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8.2 rush attempts per game and 2.3 pass targets per game. But that volume has gone up quite a bit the past few weeks. He got 14, 12, and 16 rush attempts in the last 3 games, and 3, 4, and 4 pass targets. So something around 17 to 20 touches per week for Devonta Booker. He scored 15, 11, and 21 fantasy points the last 3 weeks. He's projected at 12.9 fantasy points here tonight. He's $8,200 DraftKings salary. So I'm a little hesitant to play Devonta Booker because for $800 more you could get Darrell Williams, which just seems like he's going to be in a better spot with a high-scoring offense and a game that the Kansas City Chiefs are probably going to be running the ball in the fourth quarter if they build a lead. I'm just a little worried that Devonta Booker is going to get game scripted out of this one if the New York Giants fall behind. But they might be able to hold their own in this one and keep things somewhat competitive and keep Devonta Booker on the field. So I don't mind this play. So keep your eye on Devonta Booker here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if I'm going to save a bunch of salary at the running back position, I might go with a guy like Elijah Penny from the New York Giants. And Elijah Penny, he got 9 rush attempts last week, only scored 2 fantasy points, but he's only $600 DraftKings salary. So this is a deep sleeper pick. So a guy, if you want to stack those studs at the other positions, may get some opportunity in this game. So I think Elijah Penny is an interesting deep sleeper pick here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. At the top, the stud on the slate is Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs, and the New York Giants are middle of the pack defending opposing wide receivers. Tyreek Hill has averaged 22.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 10.3 pass targets per game, and he gets an average of 1 rush attempt per game. He's on the field for 78% of the snaps, projected at 20.6 fantasy points here tonight. He's $11,000 DraftKings salary. He's the potential slate breaker on this slate. Probably a good captain spot play. So I like Tyreek Hill here versus the New York Giants. Okay, now if you want to save some salary with a couple of Kansas City wide receivers, take a look at Mecole Hardman. And he's averaged 9.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.7 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 65% of the snaps, projected at 9.8 fantasy points here tonight. He's $4,800 DraftKings salary. So I do expect Patrick Mahomes to have a fire game tonight. So I think he's going to get all his wide receivers involved. So I think all these Kansas City pass catchers are in play and have a great chance at scoring a ton of fantasy points here tonight. So I like Mecole Hardman here versus the New York Giants. Now, if you want to save some salary with a Kansas City pass catcher, take a look at Byron Pringle. And he's averaged 7.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.3 pass targets per game. But he got 6 pass targets last game, scored 12 fantasy points, and he scored 12, 9, and 8 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. So pretty decent production, and he's projected at 6.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's only $2,200 DraftKings salary, so I think he makes an interesting low salary play. knowing that Patrick Mahomes is going to be on fire. So I like Byron Pringle here versus the New York Giants.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, now for the New York Giants, Sterling Shepard was limited in practice, so keep an eye on that, but it looks like he's probably going to play. So Sterling Shepard from the New York Giants playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the 3rd worst defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. He's averaged 16.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9 pass targets per game, on the field for 78% of the snaps, projected at 13.2 fantasy points here tonight. He's 7,000 DraftKings salary. So with Vegas thinking that the Giants are going to be trailing by 10, I'm going to look to these New York Giants pass catchers as some pretty decent value plays here on this slate. They're all pretty reasonably priced. And the last game that Sterling Shepard played, he got 14 pass targets, scored 18 fantasy points. So if he's healthy and he's good to go tonight, I like Sterling Shepard here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And the other wide receiver from the New York Giants is Darius Slayton. He's averaged 9.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.8 pass targets per game. He got 9 pass targets last game, scored 11 fantasy points. He's projected at 9.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's 6,400 DraftKings salary. Now, if Sterling Shepard is going to be limited, or if he's not going to go tonight, then Darius Slayton will be probably a lock. But if Sterling Shepard plays here tonight, it's going to be a coin flip between Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. Maybe you want to play both of these guys in a lineup with Daniel Jones. So I like Darius Slayton here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, now if you want to save a little bit of salary here at the wide receiver position, take a look at Dante Pettis from the New York Giants. And he's averaged 12.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8 pass targets per game. Now, he's had an expanded role because of the injury to Sterling Shepard, but he got 5 pass targets last game, 11 pass targets the game before that, and during these 2 games, he was on the field for 100% of the snaps, and he scored 16 fantasy points last week, 10 fantasy points the week before that, so he's been productive in the couple games that he's played. He's only 5,000 DraftKings salary, so I think this could be kind of a sneaky wide receiver pick. If you need to save that extra, save a little bit of salary to fit some guys in the rest of your lineup and come off of Darius Slayton or Sterling Shepard, I think he makes a pretty interesting play here tonight. So I like Dante Pettis here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, let's take a look at the tight end position. The tight end stud on the slate is Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs. And Travis Kelce has averaged 18.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9.3 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 84% of the snaps, projected at 18.6 fantasy points here tonight. He's 10,600 DraftKings salary, and this is another captain material player. He scored 14, 18, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks off of 12, 11, and 10 pass targets. so a ton of volume, excellent production. So I like Travis Kelce here versus the New York Giants. And then the tight end for the New York Giants, he's questionable. He was limited in practice, but I think he's going to go tonight. So take a look at Evan Ingram. And Evan Ingram has averaged 7.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.8 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 68% of the snaps, projected at 8.6 fantasy points here tonight. He's $5,400 DraftKings salary, so I think he's an interesting play. He got 8 pass targets last week, scored 10 fantasy points, so I like Evan Ingram here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you're looking for a super low salary tight end, especially if Evan Ingram is going to be limited or if he's out, then take a look at Kyle Rudolph from the New York Giants. Now, he's only averaged 3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 2.1 pass targets per game, but he's on the field for 58% of the snaps, and he's only $1,800 DraftKings salary, so he should get, between 2 to 3 pass targets here tonight. I think he's an interesting play, especially if you just want to speculate that Evan Ingram isn't going to be 100%. So as a deep sleeper pick, I like Kyle Rudolph here versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.